Hello and welcome to another edition of Cheeky Scientist News. I'm Isaiah Henkel, and today we're talking about how to move forward your job search quickly and why you should focus on getting hired now in November and December, because guess what? That's when most PhDs get hired. In fact, it's when most people with advanced degrees get hired, and I'm going to explain that today. So the first thing I want to talk about, though, is 3 important new tips for networking. Okay, really just one tip that really stood out to me. I like this article. It says the new way to network, meaningful comments. This is specifically for LinkedIn. We are seeing LinkedIn really reward people who are commenting in their LinkedIn feed. Now, why would they want to do that? Because that's where their advertisers are, right? That's where their employers are. They pay LinkedIn's bills. So if you comment on people's posts, right, it benefits LinkedIn, but it also benefits the person who made the post in the first place, and they know it. So if a company is posting on LinkedIn and you comment, it benefits the company. They get organic reach, okay? They get increased organic reach because you commented. We all tend to know this now. If you post on social media and other people comment on it, you see how it gets shown to more people. That is insanely valuable to employers who are posting stuff. Even if it's their marketing department posting it, you need to comment. It's going to be great for you to get some face time to that company. I know it might seem like a small thing, but I have seen year after year, people get hired and it all comes down to an initial comment they made. They're interested in the company. They follow them on LinkedIn, of course. They reach out to people there, but then they start commenting. Most people are not doing this. Everybody is trying to get in touch with the hiring managers, the people that are working at the companies they want to get hired at. Few people are actually commenting because it's public. You can comment a professional, deep comment. Notice that this says meaningful comments. Huge benefit to doing this. One of the biggest hacks over the next few months. Highly recommend that you're commenting, but again, make it meaningful and professional. All right, 3 best hacks to recruiters. Logic to have a winning resume. I'm just going to choose one off of here as well. I've been talking a lot about this over the last few months. What is the best file type when it comes to getting your resume submitted to an ATS system, the applicant tracking system software? I'm coming back to the Word document. If they say PDF, that's fine. I understand in academia we're taught to use PDFs because it avoids this Word document confusion. It can get messed up. Less of an issue for today's ATS system. What is a big issue is the ATS can't read the text on a PDF because it's flattened. So this says send your resume in Microsoft Word. And I like this because it's by the Resume Professional Writers group. That's the website. Okay, this is specifically on resume writing. And they have a lot of great tips here. And I can tell you right now, when you talk to professional resume writers, as in that's all they do is they just focus on the resumes, they have some of the best advice, and it all comes down to keeping things simple. Talks about fonts, right? Arial, Calibri, Times New Roman. That's it. That's all you should use. Keeping a simple format. Labeling your file, something professional with your name and the company. Really important to do. But not just because you want the employer to be able to find it, the actual human, but so the ATS will give you a boost in their system. So make sure you're labeling the file correctly. Stick with conventional headings. Avoid visual and text enhancers. It also says, look out for keywords and semantic matches. This is something that ATS systems are doing. So don't just get the keyword in there, but get other words related to that keyword. It's also called keyword connectedness. And then it says, I love that they say this even for this resume group says, be careful with your social posts, your digital footprint. Okay, the ATS systems are now looking at your digital footprint. So a lot of employers are doing this. They're using AI overall so that when you upload a resume, it looks at the email you used to upload it, your name. It shares that information, and it also digs into your past in terms of all the accounts that you've ever created with that email or under that name and all your past posts. And I don't have time to go into it here, but they can find your public post, your private post, even anonymous posts through something called your linguistic footprint. So be careful, clean up your past and clean up your online etiquette moving forward. How to find a job fast. Tips to speed up the process. This is by Tracy Brower, who is a PhD. So I really, really enjoyed reading this article. It talks about the new landscape of work, talks about a couple of studies done for Bloomberg in particular, one that said 71% of job seekers say the process is complex, the job search process, we know. 66% say people wished they had started their job search process earlier. I always tell PhDs, look, I'd like you to start a year, 2 years, 3 years before you know you want to get hired. Otherwise, it becomes very challenging because you're not going for a job down here, you're going for a job up here. There's very few of these jobs. Just because you had friends that got hired does not mean it's going to be easy for you at all. It's very, very tough. 90% of people said they had been ghosted by a potential employer. This number just keeps increasing. 90% of people said they've been ghosted. I've seen other numbers, one by Microsoft Careers that just came out, up to 60% of the jobs that are posted right now are ghost job listings where they have no intention of hiring for that job in the next 6 months, if at all. This has started to trend. First, we started seeing it in niche publications. Then we started seeing it in the Wall Street Journal, et cetera. I've been reporting on it for quite a while. Now we're seeing it in CBS News, right? So it's as mainstream as you're going to get in terms of the news right now. One peril facing job hunters, being ghosted. This just came out recently. Nothing new is presented here other than the fact that it's going to a much larger audience. Everybody knows that companies are slamming the brakes on the hiring, but they got to keep posting the jobs, right? They get competitive intelligence, demographic data, resumes just in case, but more importantly, they keep showing new job openings because makes it look like they're growing, right? Imagine a publicly traded company stop posting jobs for 2 months. What's going to happen to their stocks? They're going to crash. So ghost jobs are a big problem. So how can you still get hired fast? Well, this article goes on to talk about using your resources, tapping into the right opportunities. One tip that I really liked here is look at LinkedIn, your connections, or your soon-to-be connections to see who just left a company, right? And who just got hired at a company. These people are the best people to tap in terms of asking them questions about why they left, how they got hired, where they're going. When you ask somebody about their job search, how they got hired in the first place, you keep the focus on them so they're more likely to talk. It's also a subjective question, right? So how did you get hired in the first place? Not tell me, right, quantitatively about this metric of the job search process or how long should it take to get hired. None of that. How did you get hired? Creates the conversation around the context of getting hired. And they're very likely to ask you next, well, what about you? What are you trying to get hired into? So find people that just got hired at a job. They're much more likely to give back. That's what this article talks about. And then people who left, track them, right? See where they're going to go next. So follow people who are leaving positions and just getting hired at positions. It also says just take a job. Stop looking for that perfect job. A lot of PhDs I talk to, a lot of people with higher education degrees are very concerned they're going to get into a job that's not a good fit. And so much so that I have people for months, they'll say, I can't get an interview, I can't get an interview. Then they finally get an interview and the first thing they say is, okay, how do I ask all these questions to the employer to make sure this is a job that I want? Like, this is the first interview. You don't ask them any questions like that. You just tell them how enthusiastic you are to be there, what you're excited about. You ask them how you're going to add value. You ask questions about getting to know the team. Keep momentum going for the deal and expand your horizons. Go after companies that are small, mid-size. You can always say no after you get a job offer on paper, and don't give me the excuse of, oh, it's unethical to go if I don't know 100% I want the job. You don't know what's on the table. You're just assuming the worst case scenario because we have a robust negativity bias. You got to assume the best case scenario too. Okay, what if this job is everything you've ever wanted? Until you have an offer on paper, you don't know. Go into it believing it's going to be the best case scenario. Keep the momentum of the deal moving forward. This is reiterated in U.S. News. In a tough job market, focusing on skills and flexibility can help job seekers stand out. So they do talk about flexibility in terms of looking beyond your industry, and then again, considering larger companies, small companies, different locations, hybrid, remote roles. You have to understand that the big name companies that you've heard of, they're not the only companies. And a lot of these big name companies have sister companies, satellite locations, remote opportunities, subsidiaries, often under different names. Some companies have like hundreds of sister companies under different names that you could work at. Do you know all your targets? So you have to expand your list of targets. The number one thing that holds people back from getting hired is not having enough targets, right? You need to make sure that you're building a list of companies. This also talks about a 37% year-over-year decrease in jobs overall and a 45% year-over-year decrease, that's this year compared to last year, decrease in jobs that require a high-level degree specifically. Okay, so that's not meant to stress you out. It's just meant to say, look, there's more competition now. If you had a friend who got hired even 6 months ago, it doesn't mean that's how it's going to happen to you. Maybe they got hired despite their resume, not because of it. Maybe it was actually a bad resume. You need to do everything right in this job market. Now, there is a silver lining in terms of timing. Right now, going into November, December, is the highest rate of hiring throughout the entire year for PhDs and people with higher education degrees. Job hunt in the final months of the year. Does it make sense or not? The answer is yes. There was a big report out from LinkedIn saying they see a huge spike in December. Most people don't realize this. There's a second spike in the middle of the year around June, the beginning of June. Now, of course, for a lot of us who have our job searches built around the academic calendar, this is the worst time. We think that that's when everybody's asleep. It's the holidays. Not true. Companies want to spend their budgets by the end of the year. Let's say their department's budget was $1 million. They only spend $800,000. Guess what? Their next budget for the next year is $800,000, not $1 million. So they want to spend their budget. Where do they spend it on at the end of the year? The most? High-priced talent like you, the highly educated talent. You got to get hired now. Plus, it's like counter-programming. Do you ever wonder why when there's a bunch of holiday movies out, there's always like a horror movie, like the one horror movie, and you're like, why is this horror movie coming out on Christmas Day? It's counter-programming. It's going against the grain. It's the one other option other than like the 3 or 4 holiday movies. Same thing here. You can counter-program your way into a job. You can be the one person that keeps the pedal to the metal during the job search and get hired in December when hiring managers have a decrease in applicants, but they need to hire the most. It is the best time by far to get hired. A few more things that I want to talk about here in terms of LinkedIn. So LinkedIn job tactics. So following the companies you're interested in, you have to do that. You just click the follow button. You get a huge boost in LinkedIn Recruiter, huge boost in visibility by clicking the button just to follow the company. So follow every company you're interested in. I don't care if it's hundreds and hundreds. The more the better. Get endorsed for your skills. This is really, really important. If you're not being endorsed for your skills, you're not going to show up high in the visibility when employers search those skills. There's only 3 search fields on LinkedIn Recruiter. That's the LinkedIn that employers use the most. It's job titles, locations, and skills. So if you don't have the skills endorsed that they search for, you're not going to show up to the top of the list. Set up job alerts. Show you're open to work. Contribute to collaborative articles. I just wanted to go into detail on that a bit more. Contribute to collaborative articles. So you can collaborate on articles on LinkedIn. You can post your own articles as well. I highly recommend that. Can you write a summary of the field you want to get into? Absolutely. You think, oh, but this isn't good enough. There's so many people out there that know so much more than me. You're thinking of like a peer-reviewed article, very different. Posting a summary on a LinkedIn blog article can get you the attention of hiring managers, right, who don't have that niche expertise, but they see that you're posting on it and they see you as an expert. Huge visibility. LinkedIn loves showing those articles to people. Last thing I want to talk about is how to download your LinkedIn data, right? So if you go to your settings and privacy, then data privacy, then get a copy of your data, you can click connections and download the email addresses of all your connections on LinkedIn. It's a goldmine. Take those email addresses, upload them to a free client relationship management system. For you, it's just a connection relationship management system known as a CRM. Like MailChimp is an example. You can upload 500 contacts for free. There's many of them out there. No affiliation to MailChimp, but it's just one that I think is great in terms of the number of contacts you can upload for free. So 500 contacts on LinkedIn, get the email addresses, upload it to MailChimp. What it allows you to do is send email to these people in bulk. And you can just say, hey, quick question. Just wanted to say happy holidays. Congratulations on your new position. What do you like the most about your position in industry? See who responds. Now you have a warm lead, those who got back to you, and you can send out emails hundreds at a time. And you're thinking, oh, well, I'm not a marketer. Well, you do have to market yourself to get hired. And this is what recruiters do, right? You have so many recruiters reach out to you. You get those messages. It looks like it's just to you. They're actually sending it to thousands and thousands of people. So this can save you a bit of time. At the very least, you can go through the emails, keep track of them, reach out to them individually if you don't want to send a massive message or a message in mass. This takes us to the end of today's Cheeky Scientist News Show. As always, stay current and keep advancing in your career.